Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bari Bhitavad Vyagra Sinhayo Chakora Krancha Chakrahva Bharadvajansya Bharinaha Anuroti Sma Sattvanam Bhitavad Vyagra Sinhayo Mataji's?
Bhara
Chakora Kroncha Chakrava Bharadvajana. The Chakora, Kroncha, Chakrava and Bharadvaj birds. Barhinaha, the peacocks. Anurauti Sma, he would call out in imitation of. Satvanam, together with other creatures. Bhitavat, acting as if afraid. Vyagra Sinhayo, of the tigers and the lions. Translation and purports by the disciples of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sometimes he would cry out in imitation of birds such as the chakoras, kronchas, chakrahas, bharadvaj and peacocks. Sometimes he would run away with the smaller animals in mock fears of lions and tigers. Blessings. Purport. The word bhitavat, as if afraid, indicates that Lord Krishna played just like an ordinary boy, and he would run with the smaller forest creatures in mock fear of the lions and tigers. Actually, in Vrindavan, the abode of the Lord, the lions and tigers are not violent, thus there is no reason to fear them. Hare Krishna. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Namah Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Gaur Bhakta Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prabhupada feel very purified, begging the mercy of the devotees. A great fortune to be in Vrindavan. Krishna's pastimes. Even a moment is very purifying. in the mood of the beggar, we beg the Dham, we beg Krishna Balaram, Gaur Nitai, Radha Shyam Sundar for their causeless mercy. One lecture Srila Prabhupada was saying, what does it mean to stay in Vrindavan? Vrindavaneshwari, Srimati Radharani. We should constantly be in the mood of Rupa Goswami, beautiful song by Rupa Goswami, Karuna Karu Mai Karuna Bharit, begging for the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And see all this in Krishna within our heart, plagued with anarthas like lust, greed, anger. And by hearing these beautiful pastimes with the commentaries of the acharyas, one gets purified. He was speaking towards Madhu. Chaitanya came to Udupi, the followers, some of the leaders did not appreciate, did not behave very properly with Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Krishna, in whatever situation he is, Narayana Parasarve na kutasya nabhibyati Swarga Pavarga Narakeshu api tulyat dach. For a devotee, heavenly planets or hellish planets or liberation, they are all equal. He is simply looking for an opportunity to serve in whatever way, in whatever capacity. So Lord Chaitanya said the goal of life is to develop pure love for Krishna, and the means he explained is Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing about Krishna and chanting his holy name. And what can be more purifying than to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam in transcendental temple of the Lord, the association of devotees. Srila Prabhupada explains in one conversation that one should mold his life in such a way that one is constantly engaged in thinking about Krishna. The process of hearing the Leelas of the Lord is very helpful in thinking of Krishna. So here Dhenakasura, we know, is the ass demon, Talavan. And Krishna, in fact, we see in this pastime that Krishna is not killing Dhenakasura personally. It is Lord Balaram who kills the demon. Because Nrsingadev had given the benediction that he would not kill anybody in the dynasty of Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj. So Dhenakasura was killed by Balaramji. And then later the Brajavasis, they could relish Talavan. Our heart is also like the forest which is infested with Dhenakasura-like tendencies of greed. And by the mercy of Lord Balaram, the spiritual master is representative of Lord Balaram. By the mercy of the spiritual master, which comes eventually by following the instruction, the Dhinakasur-like tendencies are destroyed. This particular, in the particular translation today, there are some very interesting points. It is mentioned here that Krishna would cry out in imitation of birds, the Chakoras, Chakravas, Bharadwaj and peacocks. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Aham Bija Prada Pita, is the seed-giving father of all the species. He is himself acting in imitation. And here Krishna is apparently running away with the smaller animals in mock fear of lions and tiger. Yad vibhati swayam bhayam. Fear personified is afraid of Krishna. Now Krishna is appearing to be afraid of the animals. Just like here in Damodar Leela we see that Krishna is afraid, just afraid by seeing the stick of Mother Yashoda. Just few chapters before we hear the story of how Krishna is killing the mighty demon Aghasura, Putana and Bakasura, and is afraid of a little stick. Rudanta muhur netra yugmam rijantam karam bhoja yugmena satanka netram. Krishna is fearful, is muhushvasa, breathing very heavily in fear of Mother Yashoda. So these are some of the transcendental opulences of the Lord. Although he is the controller of all controllers, he by his own sweet will, he becomes subordinate to his devotees. It's the greatest opulence, that Krishna is controlled by the love of his devotee. Sometimes the gopis, they would try to lure Krishna. Here, Krishna is a small sweetmeat. If you dance, you will get this sweetmeat. Now, Krishna is the sweetest of the sweet persons. He is the source of all the sweets. And yet Krishna is being lured, or he is attracted to getting a little sweet. Sometimes Krishna, whose lotus feet are worshipped by Brahma, Shiva, Uddhava desires to become a blade of grass just to get the dust of the feet of the gopis. The same Krishna is carrying the shoes of Nanda Maharaj. There is an interesting incident which took place in Prayag, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during his visit to Vrindavan, he stopped by in Prayag. Recently I was there in Prayag, and we were having darshan of these deities of Veni Madhava, the presiding deities of that area. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came there was a scholarly devotee whose name was Raghupati Upadhyay, and he was from one area called Tiruhattia, combination of 4 districts in Bihar. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Raghupati Upadhyay to speak something about Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya asked, among all the ages of the Lord, Kumara, Pauganda and Kishora, which is the best? And Raghupati Upadhyay replied that Kishora, the youthful pastimes of the Lord, they are the best. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, among all the boards of the Lord, which is the best? And Raghupati Upadhyay replied that Mathura Puri, this Brajamandal, is the most holy place. Same thing in the conversation between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raya Ramananda. Lord Chaitanya will ask, where should one reside, giving up all other places? And Ramananda and Raya replied that one should reside in Vrindavan, giving up United States and Delhi and Bombay, and one should come to Sri Vrindavan Dham. Of course, I always like to come to Vrindavan when the weather is good, but I bow down to the exalted devotees here in Krishna Balaram temple, who stay here all throughout in the chilling winter of January and in the hot season of June and July. This is the test of our love for Vrindavan. Love of Vrindavan is love for Krishna, because the Dhama is actually non-different from the Supreme Lord. The holy abode, like once His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu was saying that in Vrindavan, the temple of Krishna Balaram, but actually the whole Dham is itself a temple. Especially the Giriraj, Govardhan, is one one temple where the curtains never close. The Lord is always giving merciful darshan. Every step taken here in Vrindavan is very purifying. The air, whether it's very cold or very hot, is purifying. Everything about Vrindavan is glorious. The Goswamis, they would carry the water pot with the mud made of Vrindavan. One great devotee, he prays that when I die, I may leave my body in the sand of Vrindavan, with the water of Vrindavan. Everything about Vrindavan is glorious. So, Raghupati Upadhyaya was discussing with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further asked him that among all the rasas, the different loving exchanges of mellows, which is the highest? There is Shantaras, Datyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras and Madhuryaras. And Raghupati Upadhyaya replied that the highest is the Madhuryaras, the sweet mellow of conjugal love, the love of the gopis. The love of the gopis, it is the most exalted subject matter. It is explained in one purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Prabhupada beautifully explains that Lord Shiva performed austerities for 60,000 years just to understand the glories of the dust of the gopis of Vrindavan. And that same love of the gopis, love of Srimati Radharani, that is the object of meditation of all the devotees. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar, next month we are coming close to Gaur Purnima. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar is Krishna, the mood of Srimati Radharani. Krishna wants to understand the nature of the love of Srimati Radharani, the happiness that she derives in that love, the qualities in him that attract her. So, Lord Chaitanya further asked Raghupati Upadhyaya that among all the forms of the Lord, which is the best? And Raghupati Upadhyaya replied that the form of Shyama Sundar is the best. So then Raghupati Upadhyaya composed a beautiful verse that among all the ages, Kishore is the best. Among all the forms, Shyam Sundar is the best. Among all the places of residence, Vrindavan Dham is the best. And among all the rasas, the Madhurya ras is the best. In the purport here, it is explained that actually in Vrindavan, the lions and tigers are not violent. There is no reason to fear them. A similar shloka in the Chaitanya, in the Bhagvatam, in the prayers of Lord Brahma, which is quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the description of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Vrindavan. I would like to read this verse from Srila Prabhupada's translation. Yatra naisargo durvaira sahasan rimgadaya mitrana vijatyavasa druta ritu tarshanadikam. Translation. Vrindavan is the transcendental abode of the Lord. There is no hunger, anger or thirst there. Though naturally inimical, human beings and fierce animal live together there in transcendental friendship. In other words, transcendental friendship is only possible when we have the consciousness of being in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the spiritual abode, and Vrindavan is also a matter of consciousness. In one beautiful lecture, Srila Prabhupada explains how one can create Vrindavan anywhere and everywhere. Because the holy name of Krishna is not different from Radha and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada explains in one lecture that one can meditate that one is having a beautiful diamond throne and is welcoming Radha and Krishna in one's heart. Because the holy name of Krishna is non-different. When we are chanting Hare Krishna, Radha and Krishna are dancing on our tongue. So how much we should be in the mood of attentiveness and absorption while we are chanting. Today I am preaching to myself because I was feeling sleepy during japa. So when I read this point by Prabhupada, I was thinking how much more I should be attentive. The Lord is personally appearing. Sometimes we go to Tirupati Balaji for darshan, and to stand in line for a couple of hours. To reach the point it takes 2 hours. And what to speak if you go by train from Vrindavan 24 hours. Then the darshan is for how much time in Tirupati? Not even 1 minute. 15 seconds maybe. Chalo, vanga, po. Telugu word for move forward. Hardly few seconds of darshan, still very anxious because Lord Balaji is the merciful form of the Lord. But then when we are chanting Hare Krishna, all the forms of the Lord are there. Radha Shyam Sundari, Jagannath, all the forms of the Lord in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Lord is appearing, and we are telling the Lord, Vanga, po, please move forward. Let me move forward to the next mala. I want to finish before 7 o'clock. Of course, it's good to finish, but how much we should be more of prayer. I was recently reading one book by Sri Sachinandan Maharaj, where he explains the importance of prayers. It's the difference between mechanical japa and prayerful japa. Prabhupada writes in the first canto of the Bhagvatam that how one's chanting should be with feeling, the prayers of Queen Kunti. That's why Queen Kunti says, Janma Ishvara Shruta Shribhi, Eda Mana Madapam. It's very difficult for a person with great opulence to call out feelingly, with the feeling that I am desperately dependent on Krishna, with that sense of desperation, that eagerness, that transcendental anxiety, that I want Krishna's mercy. Unless we have this kind of feeling, our japa, it will take very, very long time to attain perfection. One should cultivate this feeling that without Krishna, my life is useless. Just couple of days back we were discussing Narottam Das Thakur's pastime, the appearance day of Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur in a very beautiful bhajan, Hari Hari Vipale Janama Gonain, the favorite song of our Srila Prabhupada. And there Narottam Das Thakur ends this song by saying, Haha Prabhu Nanda Suta Vrishabhanu Suta Yut. Haha Prabhu Nanda Suta is the beloved son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna. Vrishabhanu Suta, the daughter of Vrishabhanu. Karuna Karo Ei Baro, please have mercy on me. The end of all Corona is by Karuna, by getting the mercy. Please have mercy on me. Narottama Das Kahe Natheli Horangapa. Narottam Das Thakur says, please do not turn me away from your lotus. Toma bina ke ache amar. There's nobody except you. This is the mood of an aspiring devotee, that I desperately need the mercy of Krishna. The desperation is very helpful in chanting. Like a thirsty man longing for water, like a fish out of water. Just a few months back I was in a holy place, Mangalgiri, near the city of Vijayawada. There is a river of Krishna river flowing there. Some of you may have been there. Krishna river originates from Maharashtra, but in Vijayawada it's very, very broad and very deep. And I was chanting with some devotees on the bank, on the steps, and suddenly one fisherman came and he put his net, and just after 2-3 minutes he took out, and so many fishes struggling for life, very painful to see. Within few minutes they are about to die. And then suddenly I saw one fish just intelligently, just somehow jumped out and went inside the water. So I was thinking, all the living beings in this material world, they are separated from Krishna, caught by the net of Maya, www.maya.com, the most favorite website. Everybody's, and we are struggling, no hope. And the intelligent persons are like devotees of Krishna who jump back to the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Somehow connect, every moment try to connect with the holy name. That is what the holy name is, our connection to Krishna. If we are not chanting properly, our service becomes mechanical. We cannot see the relationship with Krishna. And then it becomes not very joyful, and it becomes hackneyed. We feel it's just some like government job. But if we are chanting properly in the association of sincere devotees, just by sincerely chanting the holy name, the whole day becomes a joyful experience in the service of Radha and Krishna. As one age advances, one should try to increase the quality and quantity of chanting, because ultimately we all have to leave this body and aspire to remember Krishna at the time of death. I usually chant in Prabhupada's room, in the Prabhupada's quarter, and I feel great inspiration because Srila Prabhupada left from here, and Prabhupada has, by his books and his disciples, he has taught us not only how to live but also how to live. This subject matter should always be in a devotee's heart, that how to prepare for the final exam. Now one may say, why think about it now? I don't have any disease, at least not a fatal disease. But actually, we all have the disease. As soon as we take birth, death is sure. It was in Kamevan, that holy place where Yudhishthir Maharaj was asked the question, what is the greatest wonder? Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamale. That we see so many of our relatives and our friends leave their bodies, and then yet we tend to think that I will live forever. In one interesting conversation, Srila Prabhupada was kind of sarcastically saying to one devotee that Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days and you are thinking that you have got 60 million years. The tendency is to think that we will stay in this body forever. In fact, it's explained in the Garuda Purana that when the living being leaves his body, he still tries to come back. He wants to come back. It's natural, because the soul is eternal, but the body is not. Every day one should be thinking how I can come to that stage of Ante Narayana Smriti. Death is certain. The exam is certain. The dates are not announced. Sometimes exams get postponed, but this exam we cannot postpone. So this whole life is a period of preparation. And Srila Prabhupada has, by his books, by his words and by his disciples, an example taught us how to prepare oneself for the final exam. His great Shripad Indra Prabhu, he gave a very beautiful lecture once, and he was saying that when we are chanting Hare Krishna, every bead we should meditate that maybe this is the last bead of my life. They're calling out on Radha and Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And if we live through, this is the next beat. In that, if we chant in that mood, then our chanting will be very effective. It will be pleasing to Krishna and purifying to our hearts. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he explains very beautifully in nice prayers. Kabe habe bolo se din amar, aparadha guchi shuddha name ruchi. When that day will come, when all my offenses will cease and I will get taste for the holy name. If we are chanting the holy name in the proper state, then wherever we are, we will feel the presence of Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan is ultimately within the heart of every living being, and it becomes manifest by the sincere chanting of the holy name. The Nama leads to Rupa, to Guna, to all these things. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur explains that all the realizations of the spiritual world can be attained just by sincerely chanting the holy name. Once you chant the holy name, like Bhakti Vinod Thakur very beautifully explains in a song, Jiva Jago, The last line is very, very deep. He says, Bhagati Vinoda Prabhu Charane Podiya Sei Hari Nama Mantra Loilo Magiya. He says that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I fall at the feet of the Lord, taking shelter of the holy name. And in the purport, one of the purports of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada explains that one should follow in the footsteps of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and take shelter of the holy name. Here we see Krishna is behaving as if he is fearful. But actually Krishna's name makes everybody fearless. Bhajahu re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanaravinder. Just by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, one becomes free from all fear. We find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita the story of Gopinath Patnayaka. Gopinath Patnayak is one of the 5 Pandavas in Krishna Leela. The Bhavananda Rai is non-different from Maharaj Pandu. And Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul and Sahadev has come as Gopinath Patnayak, Vaninath Patnayak and Kalanidhi, Sudhanidhi. So, for some misunderstanding, Gopinath Patnayaka is about to be given capital punishment. He is about to be thrown on a changa. Changa is a very, very fearful situation, like a rotating platform on which there are naked sword. And the person to be punished is thrown and just cut to pieces like a grinder, So Gopinath Patnayaka, he was in charge of an area, supposed to collect some funds for behalf of the government and give it to King Pratap Rudra. And it so happened that he took some of the money which was supposed to be given to the king, and he used without his permission for his personal use. And that became the cause of strife. Here we see King Pratap Rudra is a devotee, King Pratap Rudra's son is a devotee, and Gopinath Patnaik is a devotee. But because of financial misunderstanding, it created a war to the point that one devotee is about to be punished to death. How careful a devotee should be in financial dealings. So here, Gopinath Patnayaka, he was asked by the king that according to financial records, you are supposed to pay this much. Gopinath Patnaik admitted, yes, I have used some of the money, I have some horses, you can take the horses trade off for a reasonable price, and the rest of it I will pay in installment, something like EMI, But the king agreed. The king was impartial. However, there was an ego clash between the son of the king and Gopinath Patnaik. So Gopinath Patnayaka, he offered the horses. The king told his son that you give an estimate of how much these horses cost. And for some strange reason, the son of King Pratap Rudra gave a very low estimate. And Gopinath Patnaik was very upset. So he wanted to make fun of the prince. He said, my horses, they are very good horses. They don't turn around their necks like you do. Because this Pratap Rudra's son had a, idiosyncrasy, that he would turn around his neck as he would talk to people. Like suppose he is giving a lecture, he would say, Sarva Dharman, Parityajya, like that. So he said, my horses are better than you. So that's a great insult. So the son of the prince, he immediately reported to the king that Gopinath is not willing to give the money, which was not true. Gopinath was willing to give the money in installments. But because the prince's ego was hurt, so he wanted to retaliate by giving punishment to King Gopinath Patnayaka. So he said to the king, this is the situation, and he did not clearly say that I want to give him a punishment of death. The king, he replied, you do whatever is needed to get the money back. So he took this to mean that he should be given a punishment of being thrown on the changa. So he was arrested by the king's men, and he was about to be taken just a few minutes, and all the devotees ran to Lord Chaitanya and said, please help. Lord Chaitanya asked for the details. When he heard the details, he said, what can I do? Gopinath is at fault. Second time again devotees came, and Lord Chaitanya said, I am here for doing my solitary bhajan. I am not member of the financial committee, something like that. He didn't say exactly these words, but he said, I don't want to do anything with this. Please don't disturb me. If you disturb me again and again, I will leave Puri and go to Alalanath. The third time again devotees came. And this time Lord Chaitanya said, why don't you go to Lord Jagannath? He is kartum, akartum, anyatha kartum. He can do and undo anything. The devotees go to Lord Jagannath. And by the inspiration of the supreme cause of all causes, Jagannath, who is Bhakta Tarata, the protector of his devotee, Bhakta Vatsala. So they all went, and Lord Jagannath's inspiration, Harichandan, who was the secretary of the king, he went and told the king that Gopinath Patnayaka has been a loyal servant to you since so many years. Even if he has done a mistake, he is willing to pay the money. It's not that he does not want to pay. And if you give him punishment like this, you will not get anything. At least now you are getting the horses and going to pay the rest of the amount. Why are you giving him such grave punishment? The king immediately replied, what? I never said that he should be given this punishment. And immediately Harichandan sent stay order, Like once it happened in our Radha Ras Bihari temple. I was fortunate to be there at that time, the 1970s, when the Radha Ras Bihari temple was in danger, and some of the politicians were trying to dismantle the temple, and the devotees, they were in agony. They were being just thrown here and there. It was and somehow or other at that time the local politician, Bal Thackeray, he intervened and he told them, it was stay order. So immediately, as he was about to be thrown, the king's men came and stopped. And then the king called for a meeting between his son and Gopinath Patnayaka and said, Gopinath, what is your plan? Why don't you pay the money? Gopinath said, I am paying. But you tell your son to give a very appropriate price. And the matter was settled amicably. Just see how a small issue can create to a very big thing. That's definitely a mistake, but it was not a mistake which was meant for death, punishment to death. And the point which I wanted to emphasize, the last point, is that Lord Chaitanya, devotees ran to him and said, Gopinath is saved. And Lord Chaitanya was very happy, but he asked, what was Gopinath Patnayaka doing when he was about to be thrown on the Changa? This is called Changa, the rotating platform. And the devotee said, he was sincerely chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To be in this material world, we are all very close to the Changa. We can die any moment. I mean, of course, now we find different avatars of Corona. The third avatar has come, Omicron, not so bad, and we don't know what will happen. And, we should take whatever measures are prescribed. But ultimately, the real problem is not Corona. The real problem is that we are in this material world. This is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. This is spoken in Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, and all the Shastras are explaining. Every moment there is potential death. Padam padam yadvipadam natesham. A person who is intelligent is just like Parikshit Maharaj. This question is asked by Shaunaka Rishis. What is the duty of a person about to die? It ultimately means each one of us. It's a matter of time. 10 years, 20 years, 1 year, or maximum, let's say 50 years from now, 2122, how many of us will be here? Maybe we may be in different bodies. So one should be very much cautious. When Srila Satsarup Das Goswami Maharaj asked this question to Srila Prabhupada, how can I make rapid spiritual advancement? Just like a student wants to know how can he rapidly get good marks. A businessman wants to know how he can rapidly earn money. A patient wants to know how he can rapidly get cured. The devotee should always be thinking, how can I make a rapid spiritual advancement? And Srila Prabhupada very mercifully replied, you should think that every day is the last day of your life. You know? So you should always think, today is the last day of my life. If somebody stole my laptop, no problem, today is anyway the last day of my life. I did not get the sweet rice, no problem, today is the last day. But chanting, let me chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. My reading of Bhagvatam, let me do more. Before I leave, maybe I'm finished once more time. Distribution of books, let me do more. Before I die, let me do more. Service to Radha Shyam Sundar, let me do more. Service to Vaishnavas. Bhagata Seva Parama Siddhi, Prema Latikaram. Service to the devotees is the moola, the root of the tree of devotion, bhakti. In fact, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, and the residents of Kulinagram asked him this very famous question. We are fallen grihasthas, how can we make spiritual advancement? It applies not only to grihasthas, but to brahmacharis, sannyasis also. In Kali Yuga, everyone is fallen. Prabhupada writes in Kali Yuga, everybody is more or less jagai madhai. So, how can we make advancement? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very beautifully explained. Two things, that serve the Vaishnavas and chant the holy name. Everything else is the detail. What is the service, which place you do the service, one's body, mind, condition doesn't matter. Just serve the devotees, chant the holy name. And the devotees asked, Vaishnav kemone chiniba, how do we recognize a Vaishnava? And Lord Chaitanya said, Jara mukhe shune eka bara Krishna nam. Once who has even once chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Even once sincere chanting of the holy name, he is a Vaishnava. Again, the next year, the devotees asked the same question to the Supreme Lord, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And again Mahaprabhu replied, same answer. And then the devotees asked, how do we recognize a Vaishnava? Lord Chaitanya said, one who constantly, 24 hours a day, chants the holy name. One should aspire, along with one's duties, service to the Lord. Physically, one may be able to chant on beats for a couple of hours, but in his heart, one should constantly remember Krishna. Khaite, shuite, boshite. In the Chaitanya Bhagavatam it explained that who can attain the perfection of the life is khaite, shuite, boshite. While eating, while sleeping, every moment he is chanting Hari, 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 Hari. The name of Hari is very dangerous, because if you chant the name of Hari, you may lose all material attachments. And one may just become an addict, lover of Krishna. One should aspire, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. It is not impossible. Sometimes many devotees think that this chanting constantly is impossible. If it were impossible, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not have told this verse, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Prabhupada writes in one purport that devotees should chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. And Prabhupada also says we should do service also 24 hours a day. So somehow we have to balance that. Maybe after my class, the exalted disciples of Prabhupada can comment on how we can do both things. And somehow or other connect. Actually everything is chanting. Prabhupada would say even this typewriter is chanting, the service is also chanting. They are abhinna. But especially taking shelter of the holy name, in the mood of a beggar, in the mood that without Krishna, like the gopis, when Krishna left the Rasa arena and the gopis were searching for Krishna, have you seen Krishna? Have you seen the son of Maharaj Nanda? They are asking the trees, the animals, have you seen Krishna? So once you chant in that mood of separation from Krishna, the Goswamis never claimed that they were with Krishna. He Radhe Vraja Devike Chalalite. He Radharani Krishna, where are you? The devotee's chanting should be filled with feelings of separation from Krishna. Like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Puri, he would cry in separation from Krishna. And once he told one gatekeeper, please, can you take me to Krishna? And he was taken to see Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya was so pleased. Coming back to this point, the question about who is a devotee. The third year, again, the devotees asked the same question. Vaishnav kemane chiniba. How does one recognize a devotee? And Lord Chaitanya said, one who by his very presence inspires others to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. He is the Mahabhagavata. So we have three levels: the Kanishta Adhikari, who is sometimes chanting the holy name; the Madhyam Adhikari, who is constantly chanting Hare Krishna; and the Uttam Adhikari, by his very presence, like Haridas Thakur, could make everybody chant. I was thinking about myself that I've been in movement for more than 30 years, so by now I must be Madhyam Adhikari. But then I analyzed this shloka, so I'm still a Kanishta Adhikari, because I have not yet come to that stage where I'm constantly taking shelter of the holy name. One should aspire to and pray to Krishna, pray to Srila Prabhupada, please give me that quality. Like Narottam Das Thakur says, Griheta vanete thake, ha gauranga boli te dake. Narottama mage taras sanga. Griheta vanete thake. That means one who stays in graha or home or in forest, in Vrindavan or in a city, and he constantly chants out, Gauranga, Gauranga, Gauranga. One who constantly chants the name of Gauranga. Narottam says, I want his association. And same thing Narottam Das Thakur says in another song. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Grihe Thako, Vane Thako, Sada Hari Bole Thako. Irrespective of one's varna, ashram, financial situation, bodily condition, mental condition, one has to constantly hanker to that stage of taking shelter of the holy name. Nama bina kichu nahi koar chauda bhuvana maj. Outside the holy name there is nothing. Whenever distraction comes during chanting, one should think about this line, that nothing is meaningful to me except the holy name. Even other services, during chanting, my only service is to just absorb my consciousness, to drink the nectar of the holy name. Lord Balaram, he likes honey, and Lord Nityananda Prabhu is tasting the honey of the holy name, the transcendental drunkard, and he wants to make us all drunkards. He wants us to drink the nectar constantly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And I would like to end with this beautiful story from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Like today's purport explains about the, in one of the shlokas which I quoted, that how inimical human beings and animals live together. We find this in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. When he was on his way to Vrindavan, he was passing through the forest of Jharkhand. Now it is a state, of course, at that time it was a complete forest. And Lord Chaitanya, as he was passing by, saw a lion sleeping. I mean, how would you react if you see a lion sleeping? You take U-turn, you like to just run away. And Lord Chaitanya lovingly slapped the lion, the tiger, and he made him chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada writes in that we cannot imitate Lord Chaitanya. We can induce humans to chant, that will be a success. He slapped the tiger and started chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And then he induced the deers, and then he induced all the other animals. In fact, this place is still there. One devotee, anybody been there? It's near Hajari Bagh area, that area, near Ranchi, There are some devotees staying near that place, and one Gaudiya Baba is staying very on that exact place. There are the marks of the animals on the stone, the lions and the tiger and the deer. How fortunate are those animals who are blessed by Lord Chaitanya. And after some time it is explained that the tiger and the deer started embracing each other and kissing each other. So generally tigers and deers don't embrace each other. We don't find it. You may see only in paintings. The deer runs away in fear of the tiger. The tiger sees the deer and immediately says, Mahaprasade Govinde. Because the deer is the food for the tiger. But here we find that Lord Chaitanya's mercy is uniting. We all have different tendencies, and sometimes we may have different natures also. It's very difficult for people of opposite natures to work together. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, if we take shelter of the holy name, by the taking shelter of the holy name, we are in Vrindavan, wherever we are. And then we can work together unitedly for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna Balaram. Srila Prabhupada's very famous oft-quoted words always ring in the heart of the devotees. You can show your love for me by how you cooperate with each other. And one can only cooperate if one has that mood of taking shelter of the holy name. Because the holy name unites people of all countries, all backgrounds, all cultural levels, all languages. I remember many years back I was in Mayapur Dham. This was the last year when Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was on the planet. We never knew, 2002. And he had brought some Chinese devotees. First time they had come to Mayapur Dham. And Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj was speaking and one devotee was translating. Of course I could understand English, but the Chinese language very difficult to understand. For every word sounded similar, shoo shoo shoo, because we don't understand. But one thing common in English and Chinese was the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let us pray to Shri Krishna Balaram, Radha Shyam Sundar Gaurnita and Prabhupada that we can absorb our mind in the holy name. We can in the mood of a beggar pray, beg Haridas Thakur, beg the Acharyas, beg Prabhupada that Krishna se tomar, you have Krishna. Please give me Nam Ruchi. Please give me the proper attitude of Kripa Bindu Diya. Trinape Katihina. Make me humble than a blade of grass, more tall than a tree, so that I can take shelter of the holy. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now I would request Panchakal Prabhu, Vaisheshika Prabhu, please. Some comments? I have one request. How can we chant and 24 hours and serve 24 hours? You would like to enlighten us? You like to speak something?
We'll end it real quick though. So when someone dies, especially in your family, everyone is very serious, but then soon after we get covered over very easily, just, because we get inspired, but then we forget about the importance of the holy name. I read this morning that we're reading Prabhupada's books, but without service, it's like licking the outer bottle. So it's just that along with the hearing and chanting, the service.
Practical service, yeah.
They can all do service by eating prasadam.
Anybody else has any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. Please bless me, all of you. I can prepare for the final exam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.